Hey everyone, welcome to Frame Marketing Gurus. Today I'm so excited to have this conversation with Andy Hedrick, a guy I've been talking to for the last, 2-3 years. It's hard to believe I've known you that long. But all the things that you're doing from a sales standpoint, I just can't wait to align with you and have these conversations and kind of share how marketing and sales can play nice together.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you for having me, Jenny. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself and GreenPath Technology?
Okay, sure. So I've been in sales and marketing for about 29 years. It's been in logistics tech primarily, a little bit of international supply chain work. I've worked in 9 countries, hard to believe, doing distribution center startups and so forth. Early in my career, I got an industrial engineering degree and went out and did consulting and engineering. Then I got kind of roped into sales growth with a logistics tech company called Appy Logistics Software. They were acquired by TMW Systems and then acquired by Trimble. And you and I both worked at Trimble. We got that. And then about 6.5 years ago, I started GreenPath Tech, helping companies with their sales growth, basically.
Right.
More sales for less time and money. That's kind of our claim to fame. That's what we do now. So I've been doing that for the last 6.5 years or so.
Yeah, I can't wait to dive into that. I myself am a client of Andy's, and I think his methodology works. So I'm excited to kind of talk about that and share with others, because I think, when I first started talking to you, I was doing something similar, but it was your methodology that was like a game changer. And so we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get further in the conversation. But first, I like to start with an icebreaker just to kind of get us started. So if you could swap lives with any fictional character for a week, who would that be?
Oh, boy, that was a tough one, but I think it's got to be Superman.
Superman?
Yep. Yeah, you can fly anywhere you want to go, right?
Yeah.
Laser vision, strength, you can hold a building up.
I think you just found a cheat code. I think you just found a cheat code where you get you're super fast and you're super strong and you get laser vision.
And he's always in the movies. He's a stud too, right? He kind of plays a geek, but then he's like this unbelievable strong guy. He's good looking always, Superman. So I'd love to transform into this good looking dude that can fly around and hold buildings up and have laser vision and all of those things. That'd be fun.
That would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. So let's dive into the 2V to 2R ratio. What does that mean?
What I'm going to mention, I'm a client of Virago Marketing as well. So we work with Jenny and team on awesome content. And that's a huge part of this. So what the 2V to 2R ratio is, value and verified results have to be far greater than the risk and resistors for the buyer. So how do you implement that? We do that from the top of the funnel all the way through the close. So you go out there with things like case studies, white papers, testimonials, value, right? And what kind of an introductory program can you do to get them a lot of value as well, and then prove yourself and then expand? A lot of times we do this land and expand program, but specifically the 2V to 2R is value and verified results have to be far greater than risk and resistors. And that's in your website, your email, your pitch deck online, your proposals, all the way through, right? If you do those things, it's not rocket science, but if you show value and verified results to thousands of executives or, as many as you want to go after, basically, you're going to get business, right? That's the whole idea.
It's interesting that you say executives, because we're not talking about dispatch managers and just somebody. We're talking about decision makers. You're getting to the root of it, the person who can make a decision whether or not to use your product or not. So that's big in and of itself. And typically, if you're going to do a paid strategy going after executives, that's going to cost a lot more money. If you're doing LinkedIn ads and you're trying to get in front of LinkedIn or executives, it just costs more. So your approach has no change in cost based on title.
Right.
Which is huge.
Right. Yeah. we believe in that top-down approach, right? Go to the decision makers with value and verified results and provide things of value throughout. And that's, Jenny, we've worked together on things. Our newsletter that we have, Supply Chain Insiders, Jenny and team have done a lot there with us. But we're always introducing concepts, right? But then also we pull in testimonials and podcasts and things that show the audience they kind of know what they're talking about. And so we always do those things, and the content is obviously a big part of it. And what are you saying out there to the decision makers? So there's three big ones: revenue growth, hard operating cost reductions, or streamlining. If you can get that in front of the decision makers, you're going to close more business because they're all about P&L, right? You're talking their language, right? I see we'll talk about other things, but that's a big part of it is get in front of them with one of those three or more than one. If you've got something that can increase revenue while saving money, put it out there. Like we do a lot of like numbered bulleted lists of benefits, right? In every campaign, and because numbers and bullets pop. And so get that in front of the decision maker, and then you're in better shape.
So speaking of numbers and bullets, what kind of results are you seeing with this program?
Our clients are seeing anywhere from like 15x to 35x returns on their investment in these campaigns. And we're doing these projects for 40 to 80% less cost than it would normally be, right?
Yeah.
So we bring in media, sales automations, a sales exec, a chief revenue officer, a VP of marketing role into a campaign for a company. And that sometimes it's, they've got a new product and they just don't know how to go to market quite yet with it, right? So we come in and we'll say, okay, we'll take 2,400 executive targets, hit them with 24,000 messages, put you on our podcast, bring the podcast in, but we're going to hit them with value, right? And sometimes those testimonials in the beginning stage are just about the executives. Like, I really enjoyed working with Tom. Great guy, cares for other people, blah, 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 right? But even at that, that will help, right? And then as we go, we're collecting more testimonials and case studies and things as we go. But basically just deploying with whatever targets they want to go after or territories they're not covering right now. A lot of times we get brought in, I've got this idea, I've got this concept, I've got a SaaS, I want to go after this, and we need help. And we don't want to go hire a CRO, a VP of marketing, a sales exec, a BDR, media, sales automation expert. So we have this package where we basically bring all those things in and help them at a lower cost.
So you mentioned a price difference in terms of, doing this yourself versus bringing in your team. What does this look like if you have internal BDRs? How did your results compare to that? Like, a lot of people are like, oh, I hire my team internally. You've got your onboarding. You've got to teach them the solution. In many cases, you have to teach them the industry. Then you have to put them, because they're making these phone calls too, right? Your team will make cold calls as well. So, you got to have the thick skin. You got to be able to keep the CRM up to date. It's like big shoes to fill, right? And so doing that internally versus using a program like yours, how does that compare?
The results are different, right? So everybody on our team has 20 plus years of sales. And what we compete with a lot of time is they might hire 2 or 3 BDRs that are college kids, college graduates, knowing the supply chain industry and having those connections is extremely helpful. And what I like to say is we come alongside of them. So we're not trying to displace BDRs that are in place or even account executives. It's more so we've got this area we don't cover very well. And we need somebody with experience to come in there and demo and close, right? And that's where we come in. So we work with BDRs all the time. We work side by side with them, and we also do fill sales roles as well. So I don't want people to get the idea that we go, you need to just fire everybody, because that's never ever. But what
Yeah.
we do is come in and kind of fill the gaps is the best way to describe it. Fill the gaps where they need help.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What about like what was your journey? How did you like discover this process?
Back in 2018, I was traveling coast to coast. And I was just looking at my schedule and how much time I was away and so forth and thinking to myself, I wonder if I could generate some of this demand online. Like, do I
Yeah.
really need to do city blitzes all the time? So a city blitz for me is you get an anchor meeting with somebody and then you tell everybody you're coming to town that week and you're
Yep.
going to stop by and give brochures and donuts and Panera bread or whatever. So I was doing that all the time. And I thought, I wonder if I could do some of this demand digitally and close it, like get it closed. And so I started doing that. Social media was a big part of it, right? Get some content out there that shows expertise in whatever it is you're selling. And so I started with that and then started doing some sales automations at the same time. So it's kind of a twofold thing. And lo and behold, I 10X'd my own sales pipeline in the first 6 months.
Yes.
And I couldn't believe, and these were big deals. I mean, these were $250, $500,000 size deals. And I thought at first, I just don't know if a CEO is going to engage with me for sure. And we're going to try it.
Mm-hmm.
And we tried it, rolled it out, and they're engaging more than with the other approach. In fact, I got frustrated because I'd set a meeting with a VP and a CEO, and I'd get to town in Seattle, Washington. I'd get to the meeting, and they go, "Oh, CEO had to travel out today. So sorry." Like, I just spent, $1,500 coming out here, but that's okay. And so I started getting a little frustrated, to be honest. Too much time behind windshields, like in the jet, in the car, going to the hotel, going from the hotel, all of the time that I felt like wasting a lot of time. And so sure enough, I turned on a digital approach and cranked it up. The minimum kind of a campaign we would do, it would be like 2,400 executives every 6 months and like 24,000 touches. So you can't touch executives that much when you jump on planes every week.
No, not at all. And
That's kind of what happened.
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head earlier when you were talking about the type of salesperson you need to be today. So you talked about your team having relationships in the industry. And then you just mentioned kind of how can I do some of this lead generation leveraging social media? Like, I mean, yesterday's salesperson was hopping on the plane and going to these locations. Today's salesperson is building these relationships and maintaining them digitally. Right. So I think and that's kind of what your platform, focuses on. But what are some of the common pitfalls for, sales teams today?
Yeah. I mean, one of the big ones is just trying to do the same things over and over again and expecting different results.
That's the definition of insanity.
Right. And I was
that one.
And I was that person. I kind of felt and saw this shift of people going to my website and my social media, right? I felt it and saw it, but I was still hopping on planes and nailing down anchor meetings and doing city blitzes myself. And I just saw this journey, and I think the buyer journey has changed pretty dramatically. And today, it's just the way it is. They will go to your website and they'll go to your social media before they will decide if they're going to meet with you. So that's just the world we live in today.
I feel like when we're talking about executives, they're more likely to come inbound if they feel the internal pain. So I feel like my most recent conversations were with an executive saying, we've got to do something. Like, this is not working. Like, this is falling apart. We don't have marketing. The website doesn't have the right messaging. We don't have the right people. Like, those conversations look a lot different than like the outbound where you're like, hey, would you like to do marketing and stand-up campaigns and stuff? These are like people that are like, this is all falling apart and we have to fix this. Like, I feel like that's what my conversations with executives sound like recently.
Yeah. And there's a famous quote from salesforce.com. 69% of executives feel like the buyer process has changed faster than they've adapted to it. 69% of executives. And I think it's true. And I talk to people every week where they're still having reps go out and leave brochures and donuts and so forth. And they will call it a site visit in the CRM, but they're literally leaving it with the front desk. Is that really a site
making
visit?
a touch base? No.
It really is.
No, I feel like that person's probably on vacation. They're like, I go get some Dunkin' Donuts, drop it off here, get them some donuts, and then I'm going to head to the beach. Like, I'm here. What am I going to do? I did my site visits.
That's right. I did my site visits. Exactly. And they're like, we want faster growth. We want a 2X. We want a 3X. And the biggest thing that they're doing is let's try and do more site visits, more Panera Bread. And I'm just like, how's that working for you? You know?
Yeah.
And the feedback is, well, it's not working that great. We're hiring more and more people. And frankly, being honest, there's a lot of turnover in the sales market. I think people get frustrated. They have these big numbers to hit in order to get their on target earnings for the year. Yep. And they're out on the road dropping brochures and donuts with the front office staff at the front desk. You know, it's like that is certainly not the best use of their time. No. You want your closers to close more, basically.
Right. Yeah. So as we move away from dropping off Dunkin' Donuts, what are some tips for like a modern sales team? What do you think they should be focused on doing?
Using technology to their advantage and using media as well to their advantage. When you do those two things together, the results can be magical. You know, I would say just as a tip for people out there, I do it myself, obviously, get on at least 5 podcasts a year. Just get on industry podcasts per year, at least 5.
I feel like if you want to do sales in at least this industry and probably every other industry, is your personal brand. It's building the relationships. It's being present on social media, but not just present, but engaging. More often than not, I'm seeing a lot of Facebook carryover on LinkedIn. And one thing that I'm seeing personally is people trying from my professional network connecting with me on Facebook. And I'm just like, you want to connect with me on Facebook? Like, I feel like that's a whole nother level, right? And so it's kind of going back to these relationships and building these connections and communicating and sharing your life and like being a person, being human, having that presence, being engaging on social media, not being AI, not being a robot, and not checking boxes. Because you could tell when people are doing that, when they have to do their daily post or something and it's totally AI generated and you're like, be human. Like, what does your day look like? And like, if you are traveling for work, show that, you know, like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like you're going to get further being yourself than being ChatGPT.
True. Absolutely. No, and you're right. Some of the most successful people I've seen in terms of sales, they have things out there on their social media that are engaging. And it's like you said, I'm at this trade show, I'm at MPTC, or I'm at SMC or FreightWaves Future of Freight Festival, whatever. And every once in a while, they'll do some sort of a personal post, right? But, you know, in our program, there's a know, like, and trust factor we always implement. Mm-hmm. People have to know, like, and trust you to do business. And if you can't get there, you're not going to do business with that executive. So the more you can do to help people know, like, and trust you, frankly, you do that, right? One of the things is just getting some of the people that you've worked with to do a testimonial for you on LinkedIn.
That's easy enough. Like, if you did a good job and you asked for it, I highly doubt anybody's going to be like, nope. It takes 2 minutes.
Exactly. And when some people go to your profile on LinkedIn, they're like, wow, Jenny or, you know, whoever has got 10 testimonials here and results and case studies and
now you're making me look bad because I'm like, I have not asked for this. We need to maybe work on that. That's a good idea.
Well, you've got a lot of great collateral that shows you know what you're doing. So,
appreciate
so it's giving things of value out there on your profile as well. One of the big things is, what can I give that would be of value to somebody, but not give away the farm, right? So there are ways to do that.
The thing I learned at Trimble was to act like you're making cookies. I'm making these cookies. They're going to be so good, right? But you can't have any. Not yet.
Yeah, exactly. Right. If you buy them, then you can have them.
But you don't give them away. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So I want to give a shout out to Zach Heigelman of Revanova and Pete Mata of GLCS. I would say those are two guys that I see social media, or I see as sales guys doing social media right. Like, they're posting some personal stuff, they're posting professional stuff, but like you said, adding value to the conversation. And oftentimes it's like a funny little tidbit or something. I've actually seen some banter between marketing and sales in this like cute, fun way. That's not hostile. That's really nice to see, like them engaging and working together, versus, pointing the fingers and stuff, which is traditionally kind of what the experience has been. But I'm starting to see a lot more collaboration between marketing and sales. To be honest, I've always felt like the sales needs the content. When you talk about the value, that's the storytelling. You got to be able to tell that story. And sales has to be able to communicate that story and make those connections, the know, like, and trust model, right? Like, they have to represent that. And marketing can help fuel that to get the close, to get the revenue. On the marketing side, we could put all the content out there we want. If you don't have a relationship, it's not going to drive a conversation with anybody, and you're never going to close it. So you really need each other.
Yeah, you really do. Yeah, the most successful organizations have a good working relationship between marketing and sales. They're all on the same sheet of music, and it works like really, really well when that happens.
Yeah. So I feel like there's a bit of a mix on kind of I don't want to say economy, but kind of how things are going right now, like from a sales perspective in the industry. One, do you think sales growth is slower right now?
I'm not seeing much of a slowdown from our perspective.
Right.
There are certain channels that it's, tough. Like if you're in international freight forwarding right now, with all the tariffs that are on and off and so forth, I hear and see them like in a wait mode. Like, let's wait till some things happen with China and Europe before we go dive deeper and hire 3 salespeople and all the things, right? But in other markets like, fuel, warehousing, 3PL, etc.,
still goes home.
Everything we buy, if you look around, it's coming through a warehouse in a truck at some point, and that's not going anywhere. And I feel like, most areas of the economy are doing pretty well. There's certain, like I said, maybe port operations, right? International freight forwarding. There's a bit of a wait and see kind of a mode going on there, I feel like right now.
What piece of advice would you offer them in terms of slow sales growth? How can they amplify that?
Yeah, you need to do more outreach, but not go spend a lot more money doing it. I mean, I've lived this, right? Be able to get in front of more of the right people with the right message. If you do that, your pipeline of deals won't go like that. But you are probably going to have to step up your outreach to keep the same pipeline of deals going, honestly.
Sure. Yeah. So some of these companies are like in challenging times. How do you keep them motivated? Like, how do you motivate and incentivize sales teams in general? Like, because oftentimes I think many salespeople are like, oh, it's so bad. It's so bad because like, they have this daunting quota or whatever it is, or the sales conversations aren't going their way. Like, how do you incentivize and motivate salespeople?
That's one of the really, really fun things about the work we do, right? So they've been doing a certain thing that hasn't been working very well. And we come in and we say, what if we do these 3 things and get this in front of thousands of people? And they're like, you mean I don't have to jump in my car and go across town every other day and check off a box that says site visit and all the things? Like,
drop off the
donuts. Dunkin' Donuts is going to kill me. But, you know, I do believe there's honestly a place for person-to-person meetings. It's an important thing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be the thing driving all of your pipeline. And when we do these programs, it's fun because we get all these inbound requests and replies and calendar bookings. And it's like, oh my goodness. I mean, we've had multiple clients say, Andy, we're overwhelmed with deals. Can you cut it in half?
Please slow down.
Exactly.
Hey, that's a nice piece of feedback. Like, that's what you want to hear, and that's the situation you want to be in. Like, it's interesting that you say that, because so many companies, I think, are focused on a certain market and they're ignoring another part of the market that they can serve, and they oftentimes don't even know that. So, for example, my own experience, leads that I generated through your program were not necessarily who I thought I was going after, but they were actually a really good fit for us within the industry and kind of opened another door for us for who we could serve. So in this case, I'm talking about consultants. So typically we go after freight tech. That's kind of like my history with Trimble and Banyan and so on and so forth. But this was a consultant, and it was like, it was a good fit for us for the industry. Not only is it a good fit that we serve them, but it's a good fit in terms of a partnership and ongoing relationship because we can help their clients. So, I mean, I actually kind of learned more about my market through using a program like yours, and being open-minded, because part of your program is like building this list for who you could serve. And I was like, no, Andy, it's this. And you're like, we're going to do it this way. I was like, okay, we'll try it your way. And I think I said that. I was like, I want to kind of trust in your expertise and do that. And that's actually where we've seen the success at.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of times we're brought in where they're like, we think there's a market over here. We're not sure. And we don't want to go spend $40,000 a month to figure it out. Like, okay, well, why don't we try to do this outreach and this methodology and this messaging and get it in front of 2,400 people and find out, is there a good product market fit here? And yeah, it's fun to see. It's really fun to see when you log into the CRM. And the way our program works is we funnel all the inbound demand into the CRM, into the pipeline, right? So you go into your pipeline, you go, whoa, I just have 10 new deals today. Like, what happened? That's fun. But, you know, you're right that a lot of times, ourselves included, I just had a meeting with somebody not too long ago. They had a really good niche in fuel hauling. You know what they figured out? It would work really well for dairy.
Oh.
It is a very, very similar workflow.
That's a whole new market for them.
Product, you go drop it off somewhere. You go somewhere else, pick up more product. You drop it off somewhere. It's like a very, very similar. So they're thinking, I wonder if we could go after dairy with this. And I'm looking at the model. I'm going, I don't see why not. It's the same, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's just an example. They would have never, but they wouldn't go hire a dairy sales exec and then go hire a ad agency, get on podcasts to talk about dairy. It's like, you got to start with.
Let's just explore this.
You got to explore it.
I actually love that you say product market fit, because I think a lot of companies skip over that, and they really need to stop, pivot, actually talk to the market. Is there a market here that would suggest I should go here? So like you had mentioned, like, this is a great opportunity to test that, because you could build this market around dairy. You can find 2,400 contacts, reach out to them, have a conversation. Is this a good fit? Yes or no? Why or why not? Before like going out there with your advertising, building a section on the website, doing the whole shebang, or even like figuring out how to go to market to this whole industry, investing tons of money, only to find out your solution doesn't actually serve them. And maybe that means going back to the development room and like figuring out, okay, these are the things that we need to integrate into or build functionality into, whatever. Talk to your market. Talk to your market. I think that is super smart. And leveraging your team on feedback on their solution, on the market, reaching out to people in the market or the potential market for you, having those conversations. If it's a good fit, continue the conversation into sales, but even just get feedback on, is this an appropriate market for you to expand to?
And if you're doing these demo meetings, they're going to tell you right away, it'd be awesome if it would do this.
Yes.
There you go.
100%.
During my years with Appian, TMW, Trimble, and others, we always got our best ideas from the market, right? They're telling us they want something, and we're like, we should build something for that, right? Yep. And a lot of times in the early days, especially, we would build out a capability for a certain client, and that was opened up an entire new market. I'll just give an example. 3PLs. We started working with 3PLs here and there. They really had a struggle with bidding. Not the RFP package, but how many power units and trailers and drivers do I need to serve this client, right? There was really nothing out there that would take the entirety of the route plans and then say, you need, based on slip sitting rules and DOT and so forth, you're going to need this many power units, this many trailers, this many drivers. Because obviously that's an extremely important part of the bid, right? Yeah. But we found that all the 3PLs had the same problem, right? All of them were struggling with that. So it became a new market for us with time. You know, we said, well, we start marketing this to the 3PLs as, do you want to bid more competitively and faster? Okay, we can help you with that. Sure. Wasn't where we started, certainly, but that's, you know, one of the things we picked up over the years. So.
Well, I think that's kind of organic path as you like build something out and you're like, what is my market? What is my opportunity? And then you find out that, hey, this might carry over into this, that might make sense. And then you need to further build out the solution to serve that market. But
right. And get that message in front of the right people, you know?
Right. Get it in front of the right people.
Yep.
100%. So what is one of the sales myths that you wish would disappear?
You know, one of them is, I think if I hire this unbelievable person, that they're going to fix everything. And a lot of it is, to be honest with you, product market fit issue.
Yep.
And not reaching out to the right people. So there's one big one that we see a lot. There's a survey by Mark Weishak of Harvard. He's a social scientist. So we went out and surveyed 400 people. And 71% of those sales executives said 50% or fewer of my leads are actual fit for what we do.
Oh, that's bad.
Can you imagine 71% of the market? Like, that means half of their time is spent chasing bad leads, right? It's not a fit for what they're doing, right? That's one of the things I hear and see. Sales execs get real frustrated with that, right? Like,
well,
here's a phone
leadership needs to listen and say, okay, marketing, sales, everybody at product, we're going to have a conversation about this because you're not going to sell. Like, you might sell because you'll lie through your teeth, but then you're not going to close. You're not going to go live. You're not going to realize revenue. You're not going to get ROI on all the investments that you've made over the past year to sell to this group that you can't actually serve.
Right. I hear and see of these people trying to hire unicorns to come in and fix something. And the problem is the system. It's not the person that is out there selling it. It really isn't. It's the system. Right. It's a product market fit problem. It's a messaging problem. You're not reaching the right people with the right message. You can't, I don't care how slick somebody is. At a certain point, that falls apart. Just being slick is not going to get it done. So.
Yeah. And I think over, well, I guess I'd say over like the last 5 years, because I think it's been clearing up a little bit lately. You've been seeing some salespeople get some crazy jobs, like crazy salaries, crazy expectations, and then could not meet them. Could not meet them. lots of turnover because of the promises made in terms of sales, but then could not actually sell and go live with the solution.
Right. Yeah, they may have had an amazing track record at somebody similar. They get there and it's a train wreck. And then they do it, and they get some deals done here and there that aren't a fit, frankly. And then the development people, the executives get extremely frustrated. They get frustrated. They can't make their numbers. And the executives are like, quit selling stuff that we don't have. And they're like, well, you're telling me to go after truckload carriers and tell them that we've got a solution, right? Yeah. Whereas really we're more of a fit for dispatch, courier, local. Like, why are we doing this? And frankly, there has to be a conversation of why are we doing this? What are we doing? Like, this is not a fit. And it's not a fit for anybody. It's not a fit for the company trying to make more revenue. It's not a fit for the sales exec. The marketing team's frustrated. It's like all the way around. It's just frustration. So
yes. And I think your platform is a good way to kick off those conversations. Talk to the market. If it's good, move it forward. If it's not, get that feedback, get those opportunities to have conversations with decision makers, understand why it's not a good fit. Take that information back to product if you want to continue to build out and make it work, or pivot.
Right.
Pivot.
Exactly. Or pivot. Exactly right.
To waste money there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. So how do you balance short-term wins with long-term growth?
Yeah, one of the big things I feel like is you've got to continuously be feeding your pipeline.
Oh yeah, always be selling.
And I see a lot of companies do the feast or famine model. They go out there and they do a 10 email blitzkrieg, and then they're out selling. Then they're done, right? Whew. Now we have no pipeline. Let's go get it. And it's that feast or famine model, and I see it a lot, right? They'll go spend $100,000 on a campaign on ads and media and mailers and shows and and they will actually get the business. But then at the end of that, it's like, okay, guys, now your quota is 30% more because we did it, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, but we did it because we did this massive blitzkrieg on the market. They're like, yeah, well, just go get the phone book, go call people, go find, and it's like, that's one of the big ones is always be feeding your funnel, always be feeding your pipeline. And I feel like, most execs, and we've run into this a bunch, where a sales exec says, I have too much pipeline. I have too many meetings. I can't get in my proposals out. What we've seen though, is the executive leadership will step in and go, hey, we'll give you help in getting your proposals out. Yeah. We'll give you help in getting your social media out. We'll give you help so that you can focus on closing. Because
or even investors will be like, we'll get you more money to get another person because you're actually showing momentum, not poor forecasts, right?
Right, exactly. No, you're right though. A lot of the investment community that comes into these companies, they're looking at pipeline, and a lot of them have a forecasted model. Most all of them do, of people that have had demos held, right? Demo held. You could probably take 10 to 20% of that and say that's business. With proposals sent, you can take a higher percentage and say that's 30, 50%. Now you've got a forecasted model that actually works, right? Yep. Rather than, I've got $2 billion worth of pipeline. What stages are they at? I've done a proposal.
Zero. Stage zero. Stage zero. SQL.
We've done 500 site visits, and we have $50
we give them all the donuts. We bought them their own donut shop. Done deal.
Exactly. They should start a donut franchise instead. Oh my goodness.
Buy them stars with their names on them. I don't know. So speaking of donuts, what's the most creative sales tactic that you've used?
It's funny because it's kind of funny because we're doing it right now. It's okay. So podcast with people that you'd like to work with, right?
Yeah.
Podcast with potential partners and clients. Let them talk about themselves. What are you doing when you do that? You're giving them something of value. And what always happens is kind of crazy, but it always happens. What do you do, Andy? Well, we help companies with 15 to 35x return on their sales growth projects. That's what we do. Right. And they're sitting there going, well, I kind of want that. And in fact, to be honest, a majority of our clients we podcasted with first.
See, I don't podcast with my prospects. I mean, I love the idea, but I'll tell you selfishly, I just love to have these conversations and learn what people are doing and what they're focused on and stuff like that. But it is brilliant to think of it as a lead generation tool. It's just not, it's not one I'm leveraging today, but I know it works. I know you do it and I know others that do it. For me, I'm probably the worst salesperson. Like, let's just have a chat and we'll be friends. And if it makes sense somewhere down the road, cool. If not, we had a nice chat.
Well, you're building relationships when you're having conversations, and and they always will ask, "What do you do? What do you do?"
Yeah.
And you just tell them the value that you bring, and a certain percentage of them will say, "Hey, Jenny, I need help." I need help over here. So that's just one of the things that, I think is kind of unique that we've done, and it's worked out really well. And it's worked out for both sides, right? They get media coverage of what they do and what their value is. And I bring that out in the show. And what is the value?
And that goes on your newsletter, right?
And it's in my newsletter. We've got podcasts.
How many subscribers do you have on your newsletter?
We have about 1,500 on the newsletter. We have 36,000 total subscribers now across YouTube, LinkedIn, and the newsletter. So 36,000 subscribers.
You're your own publication. You're your own media production company.
It's so fun too. Like you, I'm a lot like you in that I love talking with people and hearing their stories.
Yeah.
Right. I don't do business with all of them. Of course, I'd be overwhelmed, but a certain amount of them I'll do business with as well. And I never know until I talk to them, see what they're doing, what we're doing. Does it make sense? Does it not make sense? And then you go forward one way or the other.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's next for you in GreenPath?
Probably just continuing to scale up. One of the big things we've been doing lately, Jenny, I saw this gap and we've been filling it with companies that want a almost full-time dedicated salesperson.
Okay.
Right? We were doing a lot of BDR, lead gen kind of work, and a little bit of direct sales, right? Now we're doing a lot more of our proposals are full boat, sales exec plus BDR plus sales automation plus me.
Just handle it all. Handle the whole gamut.
Right. The whole shooting match. And that's something that's kind of fairly new for us. I mean, we've been doing it with just certain, what I would call premier accounts, right? And it works because we're all in the same sheet of music where we've got our marketing material, our outreach, our media, it's all working together. The one thing we were doing a lot of times is they would have a sales executive, and we would just push everything to the sales exec.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times with the lower and mid-tier companies, that sales exec is already overwhelmed. It's like exec VP of sales or senior VP of sales. And they're like, they can't keep up with what they've got.
Right.
So they're the CE level people. I've put it out there and I said, we've done collectively over 250 years of direct sales. So we could fill this gap for you.
Yeah.
And we may only need that senior VP when we need to go on site somewhere. It's $500,000 to $1 million plus, and we'll help you. Right. And they're like, oh man, that would be so great because he's already doing 15 trade shows, traveling every week, doing this, doing that. He really doesn't have but if you could come in, qualify and get him to a close. And we've taken it, this, Jenny, we've taken it all the way through closing the deal and going on site and implementing it with many companies. So what I've done kind of new on our side is why don't we come to the market with a premier package where we do it all the way through close? And that's kind of what we've been doing more of lately.
Well, I think we've seen a lot of turnover in sales. Like I mentioned, in the last couple of years, there's just been a lot. And it seems like it's hard to find a good salesperson. I'm not saying they're not out there. Maybe they're just already taken, right? Like that you got to check all these boxes, from having a social presence to knowing the industry to keeping up with the CRM to hunting and closing. Like you're looking for a different kind of animal today. And instead of getting this team, you're trying to find this unicorn, and you can't do everything. Right. You don't have all the time. So it makes a lot of sense. I feel like, change drives evolution. And that's kind of like what you're bringing to the table. You used to just outsource your marketing, right? And then you had your internal sales team. But now it's time to start thinking about outsourcing your sales. Yeah. It seems like a kind of newer concept now that I say it out loud. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like.
No, it is. It's something people have been holding on to, tightly. But it's like, I've done the numbers. So we did a proposal not too long ago. It would have been $43,000 a month for the alternative. Okay. And our proposal was $9,500 a month plus commission. If I'm a CEO of a company and they're giving me guarantees of inbound demand and deals and so forth, which is what we do.
And it's a win-win. You get paid more when they get paid, right? Because we make
more when we close deals, and they're paying way less for the amount of inbound that we're generating as well. So it's a win-win kind of scenario.
Yeah, I love that. So we're going to start kind of closing out here. So I got a few closer questions. My first one is, what's one book or resource that has a big impact on your career?
Yeah, there's one. It's by Al Ramadan. Okay. It's called How Pirates, Dreamers, and Innovators Create and Dominate Markets. And it's got such good case studies. It's got Salesforce.com, Uber, and many others, right? They literally created a market and then dominated it, right?
They did. They did.
And there's another one called Good to Great. I will mention this well. Good to Great's another one that's really good. It has a lot of case studies in it as well. That's another one.
Awesome. So at the end of every episode, I ask for some secret sauce. So it could be like a tip you have, some advice you have, something that could make somebody who's listening to this a little more successful in their career. So what do you got?
Yep. There's one big one. What's in it for them in your marketing material, in your media, your LinkedIn profile, your social media, your proposals, your pitch decks, your website. If you make it about what's in it for them, you're going to see massively different results. I see a lot of companies that go out there and say, we've been in business for 65 years and we've closed and this and that. And here's our journey. Here's our, if I'm like a CEO and I'm on your website for 5 seconds or 10 seconds, what's in it for me? Basically, what's in it for me? Yeah. And there's this guy named Zig Ziglar. Wrote a lot of books, did a lot of motivational speaking and so forth. He said, you can have everything in life you want if you help enough other people get what they want. Think about that. And that is so true.
Yeah, that is true.
It is true.
It is true.
Yep.
Smart guy.
Yep. Smart.
Guy. I love the what's in it for them, because many times companies talk about themselves. They go on social media and they talk about themselves. They develop a one-pager and they talk about themselves. And so it's really smart. Think about it. If somebody's reading this, why do they care? What's in it for them? If you just talk about yourself, and that's the same thing you said about coming on these podcasts, give them a platform to talk about, themselves. And it's like, then you kind of like open these doors for these conversations. Not just talking about yourself, but like talking about what you bring to the table, what you offer, who you help, how you help them, case studies, testimonials. Those things are the biggest things that are going to help others understand your value, because they bring a level of credibility coming from a third party. Leveraging those is extremely important. because that can communicate the value that you can provide.
Right. Right. Exactly. If you're always thinking about what's in it for them when you're out in your outreach and your demo meetings and your proposals, it's going to help you close more.
One thing that comes to mind is, when you get a message and they're like, I got a quota to close 2 by the end of the month and I can offer 20% discount. Are you interested? And it's like a backhand backwards. What's in it for me? Like it's selfish. Like, I don't know. You got to get creative with your communications and your storytelling and communicating the real value there.
Right. Absolutely. No, people do that end of quarter, end of year kind of craziness. But you can literally sell for the prices you want if you get enough people to understand the value of it. The value is this. The value is this. If you do that, you'll close more deals.
Love it. So if somebody wanted to connect with you, how can they get a hold of you, Andy?
Yep, I'm very active on LinkedIn. Andy Hedrick on LinkedIn. Email andy.hedrick@greenpathtech.com or website greenpathtech.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jenny. It's always fun talking with you.
Absolutely.